Hello everyone, this is Amber with Staying Crafty. I've got a new project for you today. It's a You Color My World card. So I made this card earlier today and I'm going to make the same card except I'm going to use different colors for the paint. In the first card I used YR04, RV09, YG07, V17, and B05 Copic colors for the paint. In the card I'm going to be making on video, I used R29, YR04, Y15, YG09, and B29 Copics for the paint colors. Both cards feature N6, N4, and N2 for the paint cans themselves and a little bit on the paint brushes. E11, E33, and E47 were used on the paint brushes. So let's go ahead and get started. I have a 5.5 by 8.5 inch piece of cardstock. I'm going to score it at 4.25. This is going to make our standard 4.25 by 5.5 inch size card. Now do score it, but don't fold it. So this piece of paper is 4.25 by 5.5. Folding it in half, opening it up, and then folding it into thirds. You can use your bone folder to get nice crisp creases in it. The reason I did this is I needed to create a grid to get my stamps even all the way across, and honestly I could not figure out the measurements, and instead of fussing and spending my day trying to figure that out, I did it this way. Now you'll see I'm drawing lines where the folds are. This isn't absolutely necessary, but it helped me a lot. When I took it to my paper trimmer, I could see where I was supposed to cut. With just the fold lines in there, when you lay it flat in the trimmer, I really couldn't see very well. So I'm using some Tombow Mono adhesive, the removable kind, and all I'm doing is placing all of my little rectangles down, just perfect alignment all the way across. I'm going to be using some stamps today from this Groovy Card Kit. This is an Archivers exclusive and the stamps inside are made by Unity. So I've got my Stamp-A-Majig here. I'm using some Memento Tuxedo Black ink, and I'm setting it up with my paint can image, and then I'm going to turn the Stamp-A-Majig and I'm going to set it up with the You Color My World sentiment. And you can totally use your Stamp-A-Majig for up to 4 images at once before having to clean it, so that's kind of nice. So all I'm doing is removing the first little rectangle there. I've got a 1/4 inch piece of yellow Post-it, and I'm using that. I'm lining the bottom of that Post-it up with the bottom of my open area every time. And that just helps me with placement so I have less to think about. So really I'm just concentrating on centering it in between the left and right, because with that yellow on the bottom, it's telling me exactly where to place it in that direction. So that's helpful for consistency when stamping so many of the same image. Real quick, easy trick, I figured. So this is my sentiment, and I wanted it just a little bit lower than center, but you can place it how you like. So here you can see how nicely everything's stamped. It's not 100% perfect, but it's pretty gosh darn close. Nice even looking rows, nothing's overlapping. I think my trick really worked, so I'm happy with that. So then I began coloring. So I started with my red paint. Really for the paint I didn't do any shading or blending, real simple. So I used an 8.0 size Copic multiliner, and you see those drips of paint at the bottom of the paint brushes? Well, when I decided to do that, I figured it would look better with a black line at the top of the paint, just for consistency with the line art of the image. So I did this real quick and easy. I just freehanded kind of a squiggly pattern, and I tried to make all of them similar. I didn't want them to be vastly different, but I didn't spend much time fussing over trying to pre-sketch it and make it all perfect. They're close enough. You really don't notice much of a difference. If you wanted to be more fussy about it, you certainly could, but this worked fine for me. So there I've got all my paint colored, and now I'm going to show you how I colored the paint can. So I started with my darkest color, which is N6, and I only colored the tiniest bit. It looks like the inside of the paint can toward the back. Then I moved on to N4 to do the rest of my darker shades, colored that rest of that whole top area. Then I brought a little bit of shadow down toward the top. Then I brought it along the bottom and the sides. Here's a close-up so you can see where I have my darkest gray. Then I went back in with my N2, and at first I just kind of colored all around, blended it in. Then I went back with this nice left to right, very smooth motion, just to really get a nice, smooth, clean look without any splotchiness or weird lines. And you can really get a nice finish with Copics if you take a little extra time to do steps like this. I'm definitely not a Copic expert, but I have a lot of fun with them and I like my results even though they're amateur. So I messed up and didn't get this part filmed correctly. So you can see the handle is colored with E47. The silver parts just feature N2 in the center and N4 on the strips on top and bottom. E33 is featured at the top of the bristles and E11 is toward the bottom of the bristles. Pretty simple, not that you could see me color very well anyway. So here I'm just coloring the word color in the same colors I used for the paint cans. Now I'm just folding my card along the crease I made. I'm using these nail heads by Mark Richards. I'm cutting off a strip of 7 and placing them on the card. These were included in that card kit. So I'm using my corner chomper on a 1/2 inch setting. And there you go. I'm really happy with how this turned out. Here's the 2 different versions and the different color schemes. And here's a still shot of the feminine colors. Came out a little dark. And here's a still shot of the masculine colors. Thank you so very much for watching. Have a very crafty day.